Good evening. My name is Alda Sagun, and I praise God for the privilege of sharing my testimony tonight. I believe God can use our suffering and our experience being held in the loving hands of God to encourage one another in this time of pandemic. It was a crazy July for the Saguns. We were physically, emotionally, and financially drained because of COVID-19. When Wesley came home looking tired with an onset of a slight fever, we isolated him in his bedroom and made sure we provided all his needs while on quarantine. As the day went by, he experienced colds, diarrhea, headaches, loss of sense of smell and taste, until shortness of breath came and home care was no longer enough for him. We rushed him in a hospital in Pasig. After several tests and a specimen taken for swab testing, he was placed in an isolation room. It is a routine for the Saguns to catch up daily. We updated her two ates, Beryl and Nadine, regarding his confinement. But after that same day, Nadine called because of an asthma attack. We took her from her place and went straight to the nearest hospital emergency room. She was given asthma medicines, underwent swab tests, and was sent home. We took care of her and isolated her also at home while waiting for their swab results. I could sense it's COVID-19 for Wes. That's why I started to call several hospitals to find an available hospital bed for Nadine. For she started to show high fever, joint and muscle pains, cough, and her asthma attack was not improving despite the medications. The swab test results of Nadine and Wesley came a day apart, and they were both positive. The more I was persistent to look for a hospital who could admit Nadine. It was 4 days of begging and crying for the Lord's provision for a medical facility. Finally, one hospital gave us hope of a possible room. But it did not happen. It was a very discouraging situation. Fear clouded my mind, especially when I saw Nadine physically so weak and could hardly breathe. How long, Lord, how long? The question I uttered to the Lord, for I was so desperate and impatient. But the Lord ministered to me from Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I literally asked God for a time to sleep, for I could no longer think right and physically too tired. And then I went to bed. The Lord was so gracious and compassionate to answer my prayers. He blessed me with less than 2 hours of sleep, but it was so deep and peaceful that Tony had to wake me up to answer my phone that was ringing. It was from the hospital informing us a bed was being prepared for Nadine. She was admitted in time when her oxygen level was way below normal. And we can only thank God for His provision and perfect timing. The following day, Tony and I submitted to a swab test, for it was 2 weeks of exposure from the virus. And by God's grace, we were both negative. Wesley and Nadine are now fully recovered from COVID-19. God brought us safely out of a terrifying experience, and I know without a doubt He answered my prayers for healing, provision, and protection. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The godly run to Him and are safe. Proverbs 1810. Magandang gabi po.